Totally cool. I've decided I'm going cruising. Now what do I do with all my stuff? Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to another episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, the podcast source for answers to all your cruising questions, even those you hadn't quite realized you had yet. This episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Infinity, the most trusted name in woven vinyl flooring in the marine industry. Since 2008, Infinity has offered boat owners premier flooring options proven to withstand even the most demanding environments. Each of their products is equipped with UV-stable fade resistance and antimicrobial technology, giving them both durability and style that can't be matched. Thinking about kicking carpet to the curb? Make the switch to Infinity and see the difference true luxury makes. Use the coupon code PODCAST for 50% off samples. Congratulations! You've decided you're going cruising. That's a huge decision. Uh-oh, now you have a ton of other decisions that you get to make. And one of those is, what the heck do you do with all your stuff? Because I don't know about you, but my boat is a whole lot smaller than the house that I'm living in. So the big question, and I actually answered this or went into some answers, some questions that you need to ask to help you understand the answers to that, as to whether or not you want to sell your house. I did that in a blog post that I'll link to in the show notes, and I'm not going to go into those details now. But regardless of whether you're talking about keeping the house or keeping the apartment or selling it, the bigger question is, what are you going to do with your stuff? If you're going to keep your house or apartment and not have anybody else come in it, then that's a simple thing. You just leave your stuff there, lock the door, and walk away. And that might be absolutely what you want to do. What happens, though, if you're not going to keep the apartment, or you're not going to keep the house, or you're going to rent it out? What do you do with your stuff then? Because if somebody else is coming in to live in it, even if you rent it furnished, you're going to have to move a lot of your personal belongings out of the way so that people can move their own stuff in. The thing is, it's not quite so simple to think about selling it, which might be your immediate response. Cool, I'm going to sell everything because then I'm going to have more money in the cruising kitty. There are some costs that are not always immediately apparent. Let's talk about some of them. So if you sell it all, selling it all sounds awesome. You're going to downsize, you're going to unload everything, you're going to purge it all, you're going to be footloose and fancy free. I forget what it is that Thoreau had to say. He didn't want to be owned by his stuff. You can get some extra cash that can go straight into the cruising kitty. But hold on a second. The return of that stuff is pennies on the dollar. Have you gone to a garage sale or a tag sale or checked out Craigslist or even eBay for the things that you might want to buy? Like, look around your house. Okay, you want to buy a couch. When I go to garage sale or Craigslist, I'm looking for bargains. I'm not looking to spend really great money on that. So conversely, if you're trying to sell your stuff, people aren't going to spend really good money on the stuff that you have, even if it's amazing and top-notch and high quality. And the other thing with a garage sale, if you've never run one, you may not be aware of how much work it is to pull one off. You got to organize everything, you have to sort everything, you have to price everything, you have to man the cash register, you have to deal with the people who come early, stay late, want to argue with you over the 25-cent coffee mug that you have there. You might earn some cash. Yes, you can, absolutely. But like most things that involve a return on investment, it's a whole lot of work. And the other thing with selling it all, especially if you aren't sure about the cruising lifestyle and you've never done it before, is you might come back to land sooner than you'd planned. You will, if you come back to land, you're going to have to replace some of that stuff that you sell it all. And chances are good that it might be a little more expensive than you remembered. Okay, fine. So shift the whole other direction and say, fine, I'm not going to sell it. I paid $1,000 for a couch and the best I can get for is $100. I'm not going to spend $100 on a couch from somebody else when I come back. When I want that $1,000 couch, why in the world would I sell it? I'm just going to store everything. I'm going to get one of those storage units I see everywhere. I'm going to stash all my stuff. Then when I come back, there will be no need to buy anything. I'll just go into my storage unit, pull out all my stuff, and I'll use what I already paid good money for. But Have you looked at what a storage unit costs? There are thousands and thousands of options out there. And one of the things that we found very recently is that prices fluctuate tremendously depending on the location. I will tell you, when I started looking just for a place near us in Charlottesville, a 75 square foot unit, 5 by 15, which they call a medium, which might fit like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, is $106 a month to store stuff. You're headed out for a year, that's $1,200 in storage fees, plus the time and money on a moving truck both ways, or just the endless amounts of van trips back and forth. As soon as you go up to a larger unit where you're looking for something where you can store all your books, remember how many books you've got? And your furniture from a 3-bedroom house, you can easily go above $250 a month without working too hard. And if you're going out for a few years, that fee can add up very, very quickly. I will tell you that when you come back from cruising, especially if you've been out for a while, like over a year, you're going to look at the stuff that you kept and say, what? Why did I keep that? I mean, that's not true with everything. There might be some art, there might be some other things, but generally, a lot of that, when you don't have it in front of your face anymore, you just don't think about using it, and then you wonder why the heck you had it, because you've gotten used to not using so much stuff. The first time we left for 2 years, and we wound up staying gone for 3. But we had some things. We were pretty newly out of college, and we said, we've got to have these special things like a dining room table. I remember we went to the IKEA wannabe. This was before IKEA actually came to the States, but it was something like that store in Texas. And we bought our first dining room table. It was this cool table with some chairs. We're like, we got to keep that because that dining room table is important. We kept a futon mattress and a frame and some artwork and books. And when we came back, we emptied that unit out and we looked at everything and we said, what? We paid good money to keep this? And the table was fine, but the futon, we had to throw it away because of mold. Most of the stuff in there wound up in the trash. So we paid really good money for our garbage to be stored for 3 years. Awesome. So the costs of storage are not particularly always apparent. It may feel like you're saving money by hanging on to your stuff because when you store it, you think you don't need it and want it again. Living on a boat changes your mentality around stuff. Plus the furniture and the things that you have in the place that you left to go cruising, if you're not coming back to the same house, you may be in a different location and a different house and a different size of things entirely. Just think about that when you really make a decision as to whether you want to store all your stuff or not. You do have a lot of hard decisions to make. You have piles of stuff. You've piles of stuff, and you're going to have the stuff that says boat. You're going to have it keep it. You're going to have sell. You're going to have toss. And how do you even start to go through it? We're in that process right now. We are not keeping our house. We're selling it. I've started to go through the downsizing process because it's going to look a whole lot better when we get ready to sell our house if we don't have quite as much stuff in it. I've actually, even though I've done this twice before, and the first time we gave up the lease on the apartment and put a bunch of stuff in storage, and then the second time we went cruising with the kids, we rented the house out and we shoved stuff into the attic. This time, though, we have to get rid of everything. There's no sort of keeping things. I've decided that I'm taking a course on downsizing. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. If anybody wants to do it with me, that would be fantastic. If you want to do it with me, I'm offering a support and accountability group for anybody who wants to join in the mix. I will say that figuring out what to do with your stuff can be one of the harder decisions once you've actually committed to and decided to go cruising. And the act of going through your things and figuring out what to do with them, sometimes that can be really, really hard, scary, frustrating, and also liberating and exhilarating and amazing. But you'll have all those kinds of emotions. Figuring out what to do with your stuff is not as simple as it might seem on the surface from a cost standpoint. So make sure you do some thinking, and remember, we're here to help you. Thanks again to our sponsor, Infinity Woven Products. You can find them at infinitylwv.com. Thanks for listening to the Boat Galley Podcast. Remember, we have new episodes that come out every Monday and every Thursday, and we would love for you to send us questions that you have that we can answer.
Slow down, slow